Welcome to the Trading with Venus podcast, where we help you establish strong trading habits, generate consistent profits, and create the lifestyle you desire for yourself and your family. Now your host, Raman Gill.
Welcome to another episode of the Trading with Venus podcast. I'm your host, Raman Gill. Today we'll talk about how to take your loss and turn it into a profit. This may not sound like something that is really doable or something that's even possible, but hang on for a second, bear with me, and I will show you how to do that. When we experience a loss or a failure, the first thing that goes through our mind is that we bash ourselves or we blame someone. So it's either blame or we are too hard on ourselves. First thing is to get out of that mindset. If you are the type of person who tends to be too hard on yourself, like yours truly, just take a step back and look at a loss as a loss. A loss does not mean that you have failed. Even if you're hitting loss after loss after loss, it doesn't mean that you as a person are a failure. You have value, so don't discount that. Instead, take a step back, don't bash yourself, but take a look at what happened. Do a quick review of the situation and then look at, did the market not work? Did the market not do what it was supposed to do? Because that happens, especially with this era of Brexit news, Trump tweets, and central bankers just doing verbal intervention. Markets can turn things around rapidly. So that's very important to understand. First of all, is it something that you did? Or is it something that was out of your control that made a difference? So just understanding what it was that actually happened to create that loss. So if you take it out of yourself, but focus on the situation and look at it objectively, that's the first thing you want to do. Now, if let's say it was actually you were the reason that loss happened, so whether you did not enter the trade at the right time, or you got too keen and jumped in, or you actually sat on it and you just wanted to be very, very sure that the setup was the setup you wanted, and then the trade moved without you, and then you were chasing the trade, whatever the case may be, if you were the reason that loss happened, what you want to look at is how can you prevent it in the future? So that loss has a lesson attached to it. If you're able to look at it objectively, then you can take that lesson and then apply it next time, so that next time you're face to face with that situation, you do not do the same thing. Instead, you look at what you did wrong and what can you change for the next time. However, if you find that you're hitting loss after loss after loss and you're just not able to get out of that downward spiral, which we all tend to get into from time to time, even if you look at the best traders, Jesse Livermore is an example. I highly recommend looking at his book called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. It's a wonderful book. Will give you an insight into the workings of a very, very successful trader, and then how he traded and things that happened to him. But aside from that, let's take a look at some examples of where things weren't working out for people and they were seeing themselves as failures, but they were able to turn things around. Let me tell you a story about this woman who was super depressed. Her marriage wasn't working out. She was a single mother. She was on depression medication and she could not find a job. She applied everywhere but could not find a job. And then on top of that, she was traveling on this train and the train was late. So now you have a person who's already stressed out and burdened in life, and on top of that, she's not able to get things that she wants done. However, as she got on the train and was going through that journey, it was a 4-hour train ride, she started writing. Instead of beating herself up about the circumstances she was in, she started writing, and she wrote a story about a wizard. That wizard became Harry Potter, and today that person who was actually depressed and could not put food on the table for herself, now has billions of dollars. She is one of the most successful authors in the world, and her books have actually been turned into blockbusters that have done really, really well as well. J.K. Rowling is her name, and that is a success story that came from a failure where nothing was working, and then finally she just kept on going, took the steps, and now she's a huge success. Another example here is about a person who wanted to draw. So this person would like to draw cartoons. However, he tried everywhere. He could not find a job as a cartoonist. He submitted his works to different publications, different newspapers, and nobody wanted to publish him. In fact, they said he had no talent whatsoever. However, this person didn't give up. He actually took the opportunity that was given to him, which was by a priest in a church. So the priest in the church told him that he could draw some cartoons for the church and gave him the shed to work from. In that shed, that person drew the first mouse, and that mouse we all know today as Mickey Mouse. Not only did Walt Disney create a lot of animations, but today we have theme parks, and my kids love going to these theme parks that are all based on his vision, where everybody said he didn't have talent, he had no talent, and he is most well-known person in this world today. So if you're going through challenging times, if you're hitting loss after loss after loss, and you're just not able to turn things around, give yourself a break, take a step back, look at what's going on, look at the situation objectively, maybe put yourself into somebody else's shoes. So let's say your mentor was giving you advice. What would he or she ask you to do? So take a step back, remove yourself from the situation, and look at the situation objectively. The losses are part of the game. However, the losses don't have to spiral into losing streaks that continue on forever, and they don't have to make you feel like a failure. So look at the failure in an objective way, then slowly start taking those actions that will help you climb out of that. Now, it may be a slow climb, and you may have to just use your nails and hang in there by your fingernails, but I promise you, at one point, if you just keep putting that one step in front of the other, and if you just stay positive and look at the situation objectively and start implementing small change, that small change will then turn into a whole bunch of changes, which can then change the whole picture. And that loss will then help you create the profit, and you will look back at that time and you will talk about how important that failure was to you, because without that failure you would not have learned the lesson that actually helped you create lots of success. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today and spending this time with me. I really appreciate this. For show notes for this episode, please visit tradingwithvenus.com/podcast page. That's it for now. I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today. With much gratitude, your show host, Raman Gill.